just swimming around because it's in a zombie coma. Water's running at about 8,100, and when it's like this, I don't even need to launch out of my launch. All I have to do is swing out into the river because there's plenty of water. And the plan today is just to do a couple of runs of bobber dogging, stop at the slough, see if I can't twitch something up, and then head down river. That sounds like the typical plan, doesn't it? Well, that's my plan and I like it. So let's go. All right, drift number 1, bobber dogging. I drove down here earlier to see what kind of vehicles were in the lot, and this guy over here that was fishing on the bank just cast out a bobber, and a fish rolled right in front of his bobber. It's so much nicer when you don't have other boats to worry about going around. But when you get down there during steelhead, winter steelhead's coming up, and when you get down there around Blue Creek when there's 30 guide boats running up and down the river, with 6 guys in their 22, 24-foot boats, it gets a little bit hectic, And they do a good job of keeping out of your way, and everybody does a pretty good job of keeping out of your way until you get somebody who decides they want to pull plugs along the bank or in the middle of the river and just block everybody else from doing what they're doing because they're not doing the same thing. They're not with the program, There is one guide in particular who shall remain nameless at this time, who has a tendency to take his clients out and just pull plugs. All they do all day long is just sit there and pull plugs. So what that means is they're sitting in the river with 4 rods out behind them, and they're blocking both sides of the river basically because of depending on the width of the river and the location. But they plug up that area plus all of the area behind them because they might have 50 feet of line out behind the boat. And then everybody else is bobber dogging, drifting down at the same speed, doing the same thing, and then you get one boat that's kind of just messing up the whole program. And he's a local guide that fishes this upper area, and I've run into him. I actually have a video of him trying to swamp my boat because he got pissed off at me because he thought I was it didn't give him enough space behind his boat when he was pulling plugs by himself. He had no clients in the boat at the time, and I have the video, and there was a verbal confrontation, swooping around behind me, ruining my spot where I was fishing. He did that intentionally. But anyway, I had the video and I'm reluctant to post it. But maybe someday in the future I will. But for some reason, you know, because he guides up here, he thinks he owns the river, apparently. I don't know. And you're supposed to give him, you know, the space that he deems appropriate. And basically what I told him, I said, when you're plugged up in the middle of the river like that, pulling plugs, you're just going to have to deal with the decisions of other people. And it's true. I mean, life is like that, isn't it? You have to deal with the decisions of other people. And if you have a hard time doing that, you're going to be struggling in this world. Not everybody makes the decisions that you think they should. Okay, let me make one more drift here before we head downriver. Okay, drift number 2. So the first drift I stayed a little close to the bank because, you know, for the most part that's where the fish like to run up along the bank. But this time I'm going to go a little bit further out. I watched a YouTube video the other day. You know, for the record, I do watch other YouTube videos. But I watched a YouTube video the other day, and somebody was trying to explain how to bobber dog from the bank. And I get it. You want to make videos. You want to, you know, portray yourself to be a knowledgeable expert. I get it. But let me tell you something. The whole idea behind a bobber dogging setup is to have a continually long drift where your rig is staying on the bottom because of the length of the leader and the action of the float at the surface based on the depth, the constant changing depth of the bottom, the contour of the bottom. And so you cannot do that from the bank because you are limited to the amount of space you can cast upriver and how you can cast downriver. So it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever to fish a bobber dogging setup from the bank. Now you can do it, but it's not bobber dogging. You're just float fishing a bobber dogging setup from the bank. If you want to float fish from the bank, the best way to do is to have not a bobber dogging setup, but an actual float setup. A straight hanging float setup like I showed in the last video that I did. Oh, I got to do something here. Make sure my drag is set appropriately. Okay. Nice slow retrieve because these things do dive deep. And as you can see, look at that, I got some weeds on there because I was bouncing on the bottom. So these things do dive deep and they float. If you let them sit there. Okay, I'm going to make one more cast with this, and then I'm going to switch to a jig. Oh, look at that. I think I got some debris. Oh, I got some debris on there. You can tell right away, you know, when your gear isn't operating properly. And as you can tell, what I've done here with this, I don't know if you noticed this, but what I have here is a Brad's Wigglewort right here. And I have a barrel swivel. Oh, look at that. I see a problem. My split ring is not on there all the way. There we go. Okay, so I have a split ring, a small barrel swivel, and a Siwash hook. Siwash. And that is how you increase your hookups with these things. Those treble hooks are no good. Take those treble hooks off right away. You do not want treble hooks on these lures. And also, you can see what I normally do with these, and I don't know why I didn't do it with this one, is that the hook is in line with the shank. Take a pair of pliers, rusty pair of pliers like this. It has to be a rusty pair of pliers. Take your pair of pliers and just give it a twist, just a little bit to offset the tip. There you go. Okay, so now you can see that the tip is offset from the shank. This will cause the hook to twist when it's in the fish's mouth, when you set the hook, when it comes out, and it'll give you better hookups. Okay, well, now that I have my audio on, you'll be able to hear what I have to say. If you're watching this video, you have no choice, unless you mute me. I bet my wife wishes she had a mute button sometimes. I run down here about 4 miles. Oh, and somebody is fishing in my spot. That's okay. It's not my spot. I have another spot. A little further upriver. Well, I've seen a couple of fish jump here, and there is something swimming my way. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. It's coming this way. I don't know what it is. I haven't been able to identify it yet. It might just be a rotten dead fish. That isn't like a zombie. That's a zombie fish, because it's in a zombie coma. That is absolutely, that is disgusting. But that's their life cycle. You know, they came up here to spawn. Hopefully it did. Now he's just on the brink of death, knocking on heaven's door. Well, I think it's official. I'm calling it the 2022 Cowlitz River Coho Run. Fish just jumped right there. Is over. Except for that fish right there. He's not over. But yeah, the numbers have been dwindling. The highest number from the separator, weekly number, was like 9,000 something, and that 9,000 should have ran for 3 or 4 more weeks. And as soon as it hit 9,000, it dumped down to almost nothing, which is unusual. I didn't expect that, because the way the numbers of coho that we found out in the ocean really indicated to me that this was going to be just a crazy, run of numbers up here, and it didn't work out that way. But that's the way it goes. But I had a good year here fishing on the river, as I always do. And I'm glad that you joined me. I'm glad that I was able to show you what I do out here. And stay tuned, there's going to be more. I'm at a loss for words, apparently. But now I'm going to head back, sit in the tree stand for a little while. Probably won't fish out of the boat until, winter steelhead. So a couple of months, December, January, February. Yeah, maybe a month or two. But stay tuned, because I do plan on hiking into a spot that I have not fished in a long time. My oldest son and I fished this spot on this tiny little river. Oh man, it's got to be 8 to 10 years ago. So I plan on going there next Thursday with a buddy of mine, and stay tuned for that. But thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Feel free to comment if you'd like. Tell me what I'm doing wrong, although I'm not going to listen to you. You know how it is. Old guys get set in their ways. But thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe if you like these videos. I plan on making more. So even if you don't subscribe, you'll be missing out. So thank you for watching and stay tuned. Peace and tight lines.